it's not like you said, yeah, like he's gonna be 40, so big 40, which is strange for me. Like like I don't know, like I always hung out with people for the most part that are taller than me and people that were older than me. I don't have a whole bunch of friends that are younger, and at least coming up or growing up and whatnot. Now, like it's not like I'd be hanging out with people and like, hey, what's your age? What's your birthday? Da, 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 da. So you just randomly find out on the fly, like Facebook reminders and stuff. One of my friends, a Facebook friend, popped up, hey, like such and such is 36, right? I'm like 36? Like, dang, okay. Like I didn't realize that young, you know what I mean? But other than that, yeah, mostly it's been like people that had like birthdays and stuff before me or whatever.
Yeah.
I just think it's one of the best things is being able to be like, all right, I was born in the 80s, but the 90s was like my decade. So I feel like something special happened in the 90s. I don't know if every group feels like that. Like, oh no, I grew up in the 2000s. There's nothing better than that. But to me, there's something between the music, the movies, the TV shows, the cultural things that happen. I just feel like growing up and then having that 90s where you could remember it, and like that transition between I knew what a landline was and I knew pre-internet and I knew what going outside was like to now.
Yeah. No, I had this conversation with somebody in the company I work with, because they're maybe like 5-6 years younger than me. I think like 31, 32, something like that. And I said the same thing. I was like, I think 90s is better than the 2000s. I get it. If you don't know much about the 90s, and 2000s is you. Like you're that 2000, the year of the millennium or willennium or whatever, all the like tech and all this and that. And I was the beginning of social media and this and that. It's like, that is true and it's arguable. But our generation, like you said, TV, nothing like it. Literally all the classic TV shows, Saturday morning cartoons, you know what I'm saying? Like the clothing, the music, the shoes, the hip hop, everything, even the early 90s tech, you know what I'm saying? The board games, the commercials, nothing literally is like the 90s to me, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, and then I even went further. I'm like, a lot of the 2000 stuff was borrowed from 90s, you know what I'm saying? Like a lot of the swag and the vibe and the culture was from early 90s stuff, you know what I'm saying? And because one dude was like, nah, man, 2000s was like that's where like hip hop's really started to dance, and all the dances and like the Crank That Soldier Boy and like the Dougie and all those, all the dances before TikTok dances became a thing. I'm like, but if you think about it, 90s was really about dancing, House Party and like MC Hammer and you know what I'm saying? Like even like Vanilla Ice and all them like white boys trying to dance and stuff. Like 90s was it. You know what I'm saying? I don't care what nobody say, low key.
I definitely would agree with a lot of that sentiment. The only thing I would put in there as well, as far as people and their arguments and everything, is that if someone were to compete with me and be like, oh, well, no, being born in the 70s and growing up in the 80s and 90s, or more, primarily in the 80s, if they made that argument, that'd be a little more tough for me to debate. Mm-hmm. Similar to the 90s, where it's like, all right, yeah, we had the pre-internet, pre-social media, The 80s had that as well, and it's more so that it was like even before the 90s, where the 90s were a little bit of that transition part, you know what I mean? Like, I don't remember exactly when like Napster came out, or I don't remember when not Facebook, but MySpace came out and stuff like that. But that was like around that tail end of the 90s and everything. Same thing with rap music. Like the people that were growing up in the 80s, they can be like, oh yeah, like we were like during that time, the origins of rap and da-da-da-da-da. By the time you guys came into it in the 90s, basically rap had just transitioned to like all like gangster rap, da-da-da-da. So I could see people making that argument, and I'd be okay with that one. But in a discussion like you're saying with somebody younger and them talking about like, yeah, thousands is where it's at, that's where I'd be like, yeah, nah. That's
I can see you
have to have like both of them, pre-internet and post-internet type deal. In the 2000s or growing up in the 2000s, you really don't know life without, you don't know what the yellow pages are, like, the phones where you have to, like the rotary ones or whatever, you don't know any of that stuff. So it's nice to be able to look back and be like, man, I remember when,
Yeah. Well, that's what I was saying when I was talking to dude. I was like, you don't understand, like when we were trying to like, talk to girls at school, like you had to memorize phone numbers, fam. Like I didn't have my first cell phone, so I was, I think 16, 17. It was a cricket joint. But You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, you had to remember phone numbers. If you didn't write that joint down, you were memorizing. Like I was smarter as a 17-year-old. You feel me? And it's
I
like,
remember going to dances, going to school dances, and you had that in your pocket,
yeah,
in your hand, right?
yeah, that was a real thing. And it's like, and so I'm telling them that. I'm like, bro, you don't understand. Like the 20 friends that I had their phone numbers memorized. You know what I'm saying? Or
Right.
you had to remember like just all
Oh,
stuff. To me, the only thing that, like you were
Bus
saying,
schedules.
yeah, bus schedules, transfer times, like the amounts, all of that, for sure, for sure. The only thing that somebody older than me can argue about living in the 80s versus the 90s, to me, is they had black Michael Jackson and we had white Michael Jackson. That's the only thing that's different to me. They're like, yo, we had Thriller Mike, you had Remember the Time Mike. And at that point, I'm like, all right, you got an argument. But everything else to me, 90s was it.
Well, it seems like that that's what happens with the 80s, right? Is like we know it as the crack era of the Reagan era of like they try to fish for like those great like no, like you don't understand, like that's where Terminator was born and Back to the Future. And like they start talking about some of our media cultural references, which are now all coming back. And the people that actually grew up in the 80s, they almost seem like they're stuck in that era. Like it might be 2015 and they still doing 80s with their, you know, hairstyles, with their clothes, with their music. They still listen to that same stuff. So there are some people that are diehard 80s, but Quincy, you turning 40. Do you feel like you grew up in the 80s or you grew up in the 90s?
shoot, obviously both, but more so the as far as the culture environment, I'll say the 90s as far as experience, because I was 83, I was born, so I still remember it, like Brian and Don was saying, like I remember like writing numbers down. I remember having everybody's number. Like I was talking about that with my mom the other week. She would ask me like, "What's Auntie's number?" Like I would just say it off the top of my head, like which Auntie Marie is like blah 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 blah. I remember all my cousins' birthdays, all my relatives' birthdays. Now, shoot, if it's not on Facebook or my memory, my phone, like like I remember a tight knit people. Like I remember like my aunts because it's on what is it, Groundhog's Day. So I still remember that. Like obviously I remember my brothers, my sisters and stuff, and the people that were real close to me, but I used to remember everybody's number, everybody's birthday. I don't even know my own mom's number anymore. Well, she just changed it, but that's the main reason. But still, I don't remember phone numbers because you don't have to. It's crazy. You don't, like I said, you don't have to remember the phone numbers.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know what's going on with my laptop. My laptop wasn't getting good signal. I'm like paying for gig speed and it was getting like 40 megs per second. So I got on my cell, like the cell phone seems to be working.
Yeah,
I'm gonna keep it a buck though, bro. That's the clearest you've been in I don't know how long. So maybe laptop ain't for you. I'm gonna just throw it out there. I don't know what they see. I'm like,
That's not.
I'm like,
That's
bro,
not.
I see like little hairs of your beard I never seen before.
Trust me. I was thinking the same thing. I was like, dang, actually, I like this. I kind of look like a human being on this, but it's all good.
It works.
Yeah, whatever's clever, I'll take it. I may get one of those little Zoom cameras. I had the opportunity to win a little 4K Zoom, but I was like, yeah, I never really use it. And I thought this one worked fine, but I was like, maybe I'll just switch up. And next time I have the opportunity to get one for free, I'll take it.
Yep.
Shoot. But other than that,
how was Thailand? Let me hear it.
Ah, man, dude, it was ridiculously dope, man. I honestly didn't want to come back. Everything, the whole vibe of it, like I'm seriously thinking about going back out there for 6 months to a year. Like,
how long were you this vacation?
Huh?
How long was the vacation?
2 weeks.
Okay.
I was gonna do 3, but she couldn't do 3, and she didn't want to like fly back herself, kind of thing. So I did 2. She only had enough vacation for like 2 weeks, so I was there for that. We went to Bangkok mostly, and then Pattaya or Pattaya, however you want to pronounce it. It's another little island, and that island was dope. That's where we went to the beach and stuff. And Coral Island, the water was. I sent y'all some pics and seen them on Facebook or what have you. The water was crystal blue, ridiculously. It was warm. Like the whole vibe, the food, the culture, just people were just nice. like the food cheap. Like I was telling her when I got back, I went to like, the grocery store. I bought one of those little iced teas for like, $3 or whatever. I was like, dude, I could have had meal for the whole day for the same price of this bottle of tea. Like,
That's
ridiculous.
crazy.
Because it's called baht. It's like 100 baht is like $3 out here. And so they had food for like, 40 baht, 50 baht, 60, whatever. Like one of the best meals I had out there was on the last day. And I was kind of mad at myself because I wanted to go before. It was the day before the last day. I knew about it and I wanted to go before. It was an all-you-can-eat buffet for 50 baht, which is, $1.50. And they had, chicken, noodles, soup. Like literally, that was some curry. I was like, it was one of the best dishes I had out there for $1.50.
What was the wildest thing? Because I saw some of your plates, and the majority of them look cool, but a couple of them look a little suspect. So, what was like the most wildest thing that was out there? Because I mean, I've never been, so I don't want to assume that they just be cooking anything, but couple of things you put on your plate looked a little, you know what I mean? So what was like the wildest thing that you ate?
The random, of course, like the little bugs and stuff. We did that just to do it kind of thing. They had like scorpion on a stick. We didn't
that's on the ground.
Right?
Yeah. Like,
yeah.
Don't step on that. Don't step on that. That's
right? She was gonna get it, but she ended up changing her mind, so we didn't get that. The wildest thing I ate really was the jellyfish. It was like grilled jellyfish. And the texture of that it was kind of like eating rubber. So I didn't like that.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Yeah. So that kind of sucked. But overall, most of the stuff out there was bomb. The only thing that kind of sucked was like that jellyfish. They overcooked some of the seafood. So the jellyfish,
Let's eat it straight raw.
I should have. But other than that, like I said, the curry, I didn't eat enough curry like I wanted to, but you go down the street, they have all the little food stalls and like little street food. They have some of the best fried chicken. I ain't gonna front. They have some of the best fried chicken out there. I was like, really? Like I got some, wings or whatever for, 25 baht or whatever, which is like, less than $1 or whatever. So ate that a lot. Just walking down this, like, because we were walking every day. We were averaging probably like 8-9 miles of walking a day.
That's fire.
And that's what's dope. And honestly, if it wasn't for her, I probably would have did more because they have this thing called like Bolt, like Thunderbolt. It's an app, kind of like Uber. So you get on that and you can see where's the next taxi or motorbike or whatever and how much it costs. So and how long it took. So if it was like more than a 15-minute walk, she wanted to catch a cab or whatever. So we did that. And a lot of times the cab rides were, 100 baht or less or whatever. So less than $3. Or we took because they have monorails and they have taxis too. So we took those a couple times too to get to the further destinations.
Wait a second. You said you could hitch a ride on somebody's motorbike, like hugged up?
Yeah. So
you seen that in like clips and videos and stuff?
Yeah, I put a video on it, but I wasn't like cuffed up on them. I just was laying back. I was just
They have like little side rails and like rails in the back or where you can hold on.
Yeah, exactly. They had the little holder in the back, so I was just holding the back. And one of the rides was like less than 2 minutes, so I was just doing it. But traffic out there is ridiculous. You thought like Phoenix traffic or Seattle traffic was bad. Dude, they don't even have traffic laws. They, especially on the motorbikes, they would cut traffic. They would go incoming traffic and just to pass cars and go back and stuff. I was like, I don't know if I want to be on this ride with you, dude.
Here's the thing though. Like when you're there with all that crazy traffic, how many accidents did you see?
Exactly. That's what I was about to say too. It's like, it's crazy that you see how crazy the traffic is, but you don't see no accidents. You don't hear anything. You don't see any wipeouts. You don't see any people falling, especially because all the tourists is on the back of the motorbike, and nothing ever happens.
Really?
Nobody. It's crazy.
Like,
I think it's because like people pay attention, and that's like one of those knocks I have. Again, not trying to be anti-American or nothing like that, but specifically in Arizona, I know for a fact, like people just don't pay attention. It's so easy to drive. It's like, okay, I can dang near drive for myself.
Mhm.
But it does require you to have some kind of sense. And I'm guessing, even though there's all that chaos going down there, like I think you mentioned there a moment ago, like nobody's like looking at their phone while they're like driving or whatever. People are actually have their eyes up. There's probably a whole bunch of horns honking and whatnot. So
Not- there's not a lot of horns here and there. You heard the horn, but at the same time, dude, like I saw, like as far as you were saying, texting, or like the dudes on the motorbikes. He was on his phone, like on a motorbike, just driving and stuff. I was
really,
like, really?
Trying to
I'd
get
be
the
like,
next
brother,
pickup.
put that phone down.
that
Yeah,
would
they-
make me nervous. That would.
Yeah. Trust me. I was like, dude, come on, man.
Yeah, no, I'm inches away from your back, brother. You better put that phone down. That's crazy.
Yeah. But I got a video. I took a video. I was doing damn near the same thing, but I wasn't driving, so whatever. I was on the back seat,
Yeah.
just like recording. I was like, this is it. But yeah, I definitely will go back. But I want to do a few months out there. So I want to do Thailand, Vietnam, the Philippines. So I want to do like maybe a month or so in each place and just do that. So we'll see how that works out.
No, Thailand seems like it's kind of cool. I'd want to go anywhere, but don't they have somewhere out there where you can like swim or chill with elephants or something like that? Isn't that in Thailand?
Yeah, they have they have the little elephant reservation or whatever, or the sanctuary they call it, elephant sanctuary. We were going to do that, but then like you hear like how they treat them. They say, oh, they don't treat them well, but you hear mixed things. The animal activists don't like it, but
Yeah.
but they take care of them out there. It's not like out here where it's shoot, they just murder and butcher and everything else, and shoot, it technically
SeaWorld stuff.
yeah, zoos are freaking, bad. They don't take care of the animals there, so whatever.
Yeah.
Mm.
But we're at one of the spots, the temples, the Sanctuary of Truth, and they had an elephant there, and where you can ride it if you wanted to, or feed it. She was feeding it some bananas and stuff. So that was dope.
How was the local scenery?
Proper. It was on point. I was like, dang, if I wasn't with this girl right now.
But you weren't though.
But at the same time, I'm gonna be respectful. I'm not going to call her
yeah.
that. I'm not gonna bring another girl back to the hotel. Trust me. It was like I was saying. I made that post. I was like, if this was 10 years older,
Isn't that that bring us to the beach idea?
That's exactly what that is.
But hey, it was good, Sando. She's good. Nice.
Well, if you're gonna go out there for a few months, then you better go dolo, and then
oh hell yeah, that's no question.
Actually experience, okay?
Yeah, that's no question. Yeah, for sure, 100%. I'm definitely,
Hilarious.
and then do that, Korea, all of it. Like I just want to, and hopefully maybe even Japan, because I know Brian, you went to Japan, right? You said that was dope.
It was dope, and I used to be a dude where I was like, man, I don't need nothing but me and basketball. I don't need to travel. I don't need to go eat fancy foods. I don't need to do this, that. But taking that trip has been like so like eye-opening to where it's like, yo, like, get out of your comfort zone, try different things. And I would advocate for anybody and everybody to like go outside of America just to be like, oh yeah, like, so it ain't always like this, and whatnot. And it is real cool. Only time I spent like a week there, I kind of like, I wish I was able to, spend more time there. I did go dolo, but I also had like my tour guide dudes, like my friends that are in the military were there. So I kind of had like a tour guide going around and whatnot. And at that time I wasn't married, but I was like booed up or whatever. So it wasn't like I was trying to like,
Hall pass.
Right.
Although again, like, 10 years earlier, 10 years younger and stuff like that, things definitely would have been different.
Yeah, 100%.
Like when you're talking about, how much money was to get like food or how much to get there, this, that, so on and so forth. I'm like, man, if I could do it all over again, I would have saved up money and I would have at least like did like a month, here, there, so on and so forth, just trying different places and then save up a lot more money so that I could like actually retire hella early and just live there. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
It's crazy how much the exchange rate is, or the quality of things you can get for the money and the value versus
Right.
paying like $10 just to get like a Happy Meal or something like that from McDonald's that's full of
Yeah.
bullshit. You know what I mean? Like
That is crazy.
so.
Well,
That's,
I also heard
when
that
you were talking about all the prices, I was like, man, that's so great. Like, man.
well, I heard the culture is different too, where like again, like you said, people show up to work and they know what they're going to get paid, and they're happy to do that. And if they don't, then they move on to something else. But it's all, they don't have a tipping culture, right? So like in Tokyo, I know they get offended if you try to give them extra. They're like, no, what? Like you didn't find value in what the pricing was? Like they get offended at that. And I don't know if it's the same way like that in Thailand and the Philippines, but that's interesting.
So Thailand, it's the same. It's not a tipping culture. They don't get offended, but it's not a tipping culture. But if you feel that the experience was epic, you can give a tip kind of thing. They they accept it because you feel like you did something above and beyond kind of thing. So
they're
they
not
don't get
living
offended.
off of tips though.
Exactly. They don't get offended, so they don't assume that it's going to come. But if they get it, they're more appreciative than out here where it's expected, or you only gave me 20%, you should have given me 50%. What the hell? You know?
Yeah.
So
but I know in Tokyo, literally they will slap your hand and be like, hey, no. Like
you try to give them money, they're giving it back to you. It's
certain countries are like
but
that.
It's also like enlightening.
Or like that's considered a bribe. Like, no, I'm not doing anything else. I favor for a favor, a fee for a service.
I didn't get any massages, so I don't know. I didn't try that.
Yeah.
Silliness. Why, Don? You asked the question. Are you thinking about heading out there anytime soon, or you gonna have this obligation to go look at Pokemon cards out in that direction?
No, I've always kind of like Brian said, man. Like I want to just travel a lot more. You know what I'm saying? Like each year I try to do a little more here and there. And I've heard about Thailand, and Mildred is like obsessed with elephants. So I always said like that'd be dope if I ever went to Thailand, or we went to Thailand, and like we can go do that. I don't really care for it, but if we were out there, I obviously would do that. You know what I'm saying? But I've got friends that are out in the Philippines right now as we speak, and I was just looking at like their posts and like their videos, and I'm like, fam, these people are living the life, but on like a dime, an actual dime. You know what I mean? And again, like Brian was saying, it's like, fam, like, why didn't we think of this earlier? Like, we could take 20, 30 American bands and go live like kings out there. You know what I'm saying? So, no, so I want to enjoy some of that. Everybody's always like, no, you got to go to Paris and London and blah, blah, which is cool. I've been to this fire, but no, I want to go to these other, countries and spots like that. So that's why when I saw Quincy going to Thailand, I wanted to see, outside of the nasty ass food he was eating, I wanted to see like what the vibe was out there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like literally the vibe was dope. I didn't have really any bad experiences. Like I said, the traffic was crazy, but it was still cool. They don't really, it's funny because they don't really have a lot of traffic lights as far as like crossing. You just gotta cross. You just gotta like, hey,
when
stop.
It's your turn.
Gotta go. Yeah, it's like, dude, you just gotta go between the cars while they are in pause and stuff like, or you just gotta run.
Oh, and bro, when you sent that picture of them god awful fake shoes, I almost had a heart attack. I get it. But that bodega had $2,000 shoes for $19, and that's our $19. So there was probably $2 out there. I almost threw my phone. I'm like, I can't do this. I cannot accept this, bro. You had every single color Travis Scott. You had all these type of different joints that are 1,500, and it's cool. You can't tell the difference. Oh, the inside of me, I had the Arthur fist. I was like this. No.
Nah, because like that spot, like they have different spots, but like when you go to that spot, the markets like that, they're fake. They're everybody. They even tell you they're not real. They're replicas or whatever. They tell you. So, and that's what the main reason I sent it, just to show you, like, look at it's crazy, but people will be buying them just to front and stuff.
It's like the equivalent of a swap meet, like you go to a getting like legit Tommy Hilfiger or that, so it's, but in other countries where they happen to produce and make these Nikes, you're probably going to be able to.
But that's what I wonder is, can you find a legitimate, authentic version? Like, is it possible to find a legitimate Rolex, but it literally only be $200?
So to a certain extent, yeah, because like they on certain things, like you can go to certain malls where they have all this Louis Vuitton, and you know because it is an official store, so they don't have the transportation tax, so it's going to be cheaper. Like on certain shoes, on certain watches, and certain purses and stuff, it's cheaper. It's not hella cheap, like ridiculously cheap, but it's a lot cheaper than you'll get it in Paris or out here or whatever, because, like I said, they don't have that transportation tax. But yeah,
I'm about to go.
and I thought about it was funny because I thought about you, Don, because I when Hera was saying about the Pokemon, I walked in this like in the mall and they had a big a store that was like full of Pokemon cards and all this. I was like, Don will be freaking in love with this spot right now. It was like,
brother,
man.
Pokemon right now is the wave, brother. I'm telling you, it's the wave. Making all money on these cards.
It was dope. I was like, dang, they had everything. I was like, I'm not really up on it, so I didn't know I didn't buy anything, obviously, but they had like I said, a whole freaking store full of everything. I was like, dang, that's cool.
So did they have, because the majority of like the videos and pictures I saw, you were like in the streets and kind of not in the hood, but like you were in the villages and stuff. Did they have like a bougie side of Thailand, like like your Scottsdale or Beverly
Suburbs?
Hills? Did they have the burbs of Thailand, or
So
urban restaurants and up and coming like a downtown vibe?
yeah, in certain parts they did, and there's like a couple of hotels that are obviously cater to the tourists and cater to that. So they had this hotel, and we were gonna go, but she was running low. It was like towards the end of the trip, and she was running low on ends, and she didn't want to get any more. But they had it's kind of like the W out there. It was called the Sky Bar, and you go up top, and it's like one of the best spots to see the sunset and everything.
Oh, that
and
sounds fire.
And this to buy drinks. Like the drinks were, and the menu was, I was like, shit. I was like, it was just ridiculous prices for like out here. I was like, it'd be ridiculous prices and stuff. So, but I was like, yeah, we didn't go there.
Mm.
But I would have. But yeah, they have that aspect too. And that's one thing I wouldn't mind doing that here and there, or going to there, because like you remember the homie Josh. Josh went out there in December. He's actually going back out there in May. And he went out there. He did that kind of experience, and he did like the Wagyu stuff and all this stuff. And he was doing that the whole time for the most part, from what he was telling me. And I was like, yeah, that's cool, but at the same time, I'm going for the experience. I'm going for the culture. I'm not going to live, American all baller life status and try to do all this, try to impress. I want to go for the experience, to experience the real Thailand. Not sure I can do that in Scottsdale. I can, do this there. I'm not going to go across the country just to go to a fancy restaurant.
That's what people do. They
the whole time
get a flight to go eat somewhere else.
Yeah, I was like, and going to same restaurants I can do out here, or like, and it's funny, like you're talking about like fast food, Mickey D, like she I told you, I think I said that, like she got sick on McDonald's one of the days, like because we woke up early to go to the Sanctuary of Truth, and we were walking, and we passed the McDonald's, and she ate a little breakfast sandwich or whatever, and that's the only day that she got sick, and because I didn't eat it because I don't eat that stuff. But and that's the only thing that she ate that I didn't eat, so we know it was that. So she was like kind of done for like 24 hours, like the rest of that night, and the next day she didn't really get out of bed. And I, stayed, made sure she was good. I went to walked and got her some broth and made sure she was okay. And then I did a lot of other walking that day. So that was the day I did the most walking, surprisingly. And half the day I was still in bed with her, just making sure she was good. But that day I averaged like 13 miles, I think, something like that. And I was just, like I said, just kept walking all day because I had the Fitbit on, and the Fitbit dings when you hit like 10,000 steps or whatever. So, and then it dinged again when I hit like 20. Then I was like, oh shoot, I didn't realize this keep going off. You keep hitting every 10,000 steps. But it was cool though. It was a good experience.
Who would have thought that McDonald's is trash not only in America but internationally too?
I bet.
Well, I can assume Your
It's funny
body.
because like different countries have different menus and stuff. So like they have different things on the menu at different fast food restaurants. And I was like, oh, that's cool. I'm still not gonna eat this stuff, but that's cool.
Well, I
Like
think it'd
even
probably at least be healthier there, you know, because I think like food is actually more natural and more actual food
right.
is
They probably
versus
still
America,
ship it.
where it's like consumerism. It's like, hey, like let's do whatever we can to like save a buck, so you get a whole bunch of instead of food.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it is better. I heard the quality is better, but at the same time, they probably try to keep the same taste, so it's probably still kind of bad. But I heard the quality's better, but like I said, obviously she got sick, so it wasn't that much better.
Well, on the food tip, like, did you guys go to like markets and stuff, and did you buy any like kind of generic stuff that you do get in America too? Like, you know, I don't want to say processed foods, but like, did you buy like a box of Twinkies or some shit like that, or did you buy some a Coke or whatever? You know what I mean?
I bought they so they have 7-Elevens everywhere. They're like they have like guesses something like 13,000 7-Elevens. It's ridiculous amount. Like every block you see a 7-Eleven. Sometimes like on both sides of the street. So you don't got to cross the street. So I went into 7-Eleven like every day or so and got like, drink, got water because the water's like, 10 baht or whatever, 5 baht. And I got some chips and stuff. Like they, how out here they have like the Lay's chips, like every year they make like a couple random flavors and stuff. So out there they did the same thing, but it's like really different flavors. And a couple of them, I was like, dang, this is bomb. I forgot what kind it was and I actually brought it back because it was really good. So like I bought some chips and I bought a couple drinks. They have I don't know if y'all know, like the original Red Bull is from out there. Somebody bought it and then bought the recipe and then changed the logo a little bit, but for the most part it's the same structure. But the biggest difference is it's not carbonated out there. So it's not carbonated and it's I guess it's a little stronger. So I bought one just because I bought a couple actually just because I don't even like Red Bull, but I bought it just because. Yeah, and I brought a couple bottles back. I gave one to the kiddo, well, not my son, but the daughter. And I brought some candy and stuff like that. But and so just some snacks mostly just for walking around, and then for the plane ride back, and then some random snacks to give my little man when I came back, just so he can try. Hey, I got you some candy and stuff. Got you some random stuff.
Yeah. I asked because like when I went to Japan, like they had like where we were at, just to walk to get to like the train station, you'd always walk past the McDonald's. And I kept telling myself, okay, at some point I'm gonna go, try this McDonald's just to compare the two. I never did. And now like I'm probably happy I didn't, because maybe I would have been like a girl in Thailand or whatever. But one thing we did do is we went to this mall where they had all these different food things, and they had like a little station for Kit Kat. And I just bought like a whole load of different Kit Kat flavors. Like they had a green tea Kit Kat,
right?
Very like mochi, or like all these different ones. And it's like, all right, yeah, like I bought them just because I can't get them anywhere else. And who knows? And a couple were good, a couple were trash. But it was like the one thing that I could relate to that I did have in my country that was there.
Right.
So
yeah, that's cool. Yeah, they have the same. They have the Kit Kats. They have the random flavors. But if you go to like the little Asian store, you can get that. So like even out there, like what is it? What is it? Yeah. What's that spot? Lily's. I think Lily's out there.
Yeah.
I'm sure they have it out there. I haven't, but yeah. So I'll go to the Asian spot every once in a while. Actually, I may hit up today because I need some stuff. So I was thinking about making some curry this weekend, or shoot, just today. So I may hit it up, but I don't really do a lot of candy, sweets, and stuff here and there. So I didn't buy any Kit Kats or anything, but I bought some, like I said, random gummies and stuff like that.
So it'd be interesting if you do go back, like again, to see how you adapt, because obviously like you adapt to certain taste buds, certain styles, certain foods, and I think part of that's the processing, the way they do it. But it's also like the farming, the way they do it there versus the way they do it here, GMO, non-GMO, but also just what's in the water, right? They always say like sometimes you get sick because you're not used to the water and how that's processed. It may not be that it's bad, but it's just way different than what we do here. So it'll be to see if you adapt to the food, the fast food, the water, the everything else. and quickly, whatever, you know. And so obviously people always say about that area is if you're going to be there all through the seasons, like you're going to experience some weather. They do have their typhoon seasons, and they do have their, you know, monsoons, and they do have a lot more rain. And so you probably went during one of the nicer summer sessions.
Exactly.
And can you put up with it when you can't go outside and you got to stay inside, and then there's less to do, or whatever you want to call it?
Yeah, it's just like out here, you know, they got the rainy season, or in Arizona, they got the little monsoon season. You know, it sucks, but it's not going to keep you from going out doing what you got to do. Like if I got to go to the store, I'm going to go to the store. If I got to go to work, I got to go to work. You know, like when they had the little snowstorm like a couple of weeks ago before I went on a trip, you know, I had to go to the store, so I had to go to do this. So you're going to go out.
But still, you know, like even in Seattle, right? Like people wake up, rain again. Oh, this like they
right. You just got like the food. You ain't gonna, it's like, hey, you're not gonna go do a backflip in the rain, but you just it's like you accept it as it is what it is, and you just gotta live your life. You ain't gonna sit at home and cry about it.
That's funny.
But yeah,
dope
for sure, dude. Like I said, if I did it when I was younger, especially before I had bills and my own place and everything else, like, shoot, I don't know if I would have came back. Yeah, man.
So I got a question for you guys.
Shoot.
I have to switch up a little bit. And this is one of the things I was thinking about, because like obviously it's Black History Month, so it's weird to bring up white people. But what are your thoughts on white comedians? I just watched the latest Louis C.K. that came out, whatever. He did like a live show at the Garden, and they recorded it. He did like a live stream recording, and then I guess he's gonna put it out officially in April. But I ended up watching it, so I don't know if you've seen it. If you have your thoughts or opinions on Louis C.K. or on white comedians in general. But
are you talking about like, do I like them or do I like them today?
Do you have favorites? Do you have ones that like you like listening to, or is largely most of them not funny? You don't relate to it? What are your thoughts and opinions on
that? So for me, there's a small handful that I like absolutely love. Excuse me. So Bill Burr probably today is my favorite white comedian today. Anytime Bill Burr puts out a stand, I love it. So I like Bill Burr a lot. Aside from, I gotta be honest, aside from him, and here's why. This might be a hot take, but
grand opening, grand closing.
Yeah, no, and I'll tell you why. Number one, Louis C.K. to me, he's cool, but after his little like scandal thing, I just kind of like shrugged it off, and I just never really got into his comedy. Gary Owens, I know people love him, but the whole like let me relate to Black culture to be funny to me is corny in my opinion.
Because he's dating or wifed up or was with a Black girl, right? Like, and that's
and it's like the way I know he's like been down since, you know, Comic View and all that good stuff, but to me it's always been kind of corny, low key.
So, and quick side note on that point though, talking about whole dating a Black girl or whatever. So Bill Burr is married to a Black girl.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
He don't have to like focus on talking like Black jokes and I'm with the culture did that, and so
exactly.
I side with Don and with that respect. Just point.
Yeah, no, and see, I agree with that. That's what I'm saying. Like Bill Burr keeps it true to himself. You know what I'm saying? While still having his queen, but like Gary Owens is like, nah, man, when you with a Black, just when he starts doing all that, it's like it's a little too much.
Yeah.
Now in terms of like comedy, like I love like Larry David's like aspect and look, you know what I mean? I'm a Larry David fan. I'm a Seinfeld fan. I like some of his stand-up, you know what I'm saying? But in terms of like overall white comedian comedy, the greatest of all time is George Carlin. So like, you know what I like? I'll say this. When it comes to white comedians, I like the brash, like in your face, kind of like that type of comedy, you know, that they can get away with. Like George Carlin got away with that, but he kept it real. Bill Burr to me is that today. Like he's brash. He's like, he gets away with whatever he wants to say. He's true. He's real with it. And he's funny. So I that's why I like Bill Burr. But like, I was never into Louis C.K. I was never into the other ones.
Anthony Jeselnik. or what's his name? The other
It wasn't Dane Cook stand-up comedian.
Dane Cook,
Daniel Tosh.
Tosh is
Yeah,
cool.
none of they're okay to me at best. Like I honestly can only say I've enjoyed a handful of white comedians, small handful at that.
Yeah, I can share that sentiment. Like, it's kind of like, you know, cancel culture statement. It's kind of like, you know, female comedians. Like, there's only a couple of them that are actually dope. Like, for the most part, it's like, it's like like you're saying with Gary. It's like they try too hard to relate, and they say the same stuff. It's like they don't evolve. It's like, yeah, Gary, you said this about black community stuff, and it's like, I understand that's your stitch, but at the same time, come up with some new material, do something a little different. Like, I like a couple. I like Bill. I like I can't remember their names right now. The dude that says he's the machine. The dude, Bert Chrysler or whatever.
Kreischer.
Yeah, and another one, I forgot his name. I can't think of it, but some of them are funny, but it's kind of like when I was having this conversation, it's like you go to a comedy show and you, as soon as you see a white comedian, it's like, okay, hopefully he's funny. And the same thing when you see a white, a female comedian, you're like, man, what is she gonna say? Hopefully she's funny and she doesn't talk about stupid shit. But
Michelle Wolf or something? You like Michelle Wolf?
Yeah, I was like, oh, but you see a black comedian, it's like, oh, okay, he's probably gonna be funny. You have more like thinking like, okay, the black dude, he's better be funny. He's gonna be dope compared to like when you see somebody else, you like, you kind of like, yeah, dang, oh no, this dude's gonna be funny or not, or this chick's gonna be funny or not, or she's gonna talk about random nonsense. But like stuff like I never really thought like, and I know she got big and popular with like Tiffany Haddish. I like her comedy style. I never been a fan of. Like Monique, I never really been a fan of. Like, you know, I know they have their ghetto people that they love and stuff, but they have their fan base. I'm just not part of it.
Yeah, I'll listen to a Wanda Sykes before either of those two you just referenced. But
yeah.
Exactly.
Wanda, I like Wanda.
So my thing is like the same way I feel about white comedians is the same way I feel about black comedians, to be honest. And full disclaimer, I just like comedy. If you can make me laugh, regardless of it, then cool, I'm down with it. And the reason the same thing, white comedians and black comedians, how Quincy was saying like, oh yeah, you know, you go to a comedy show, you see a white comedian, you're like, you might be funny. I feel the same way with respect to black comedians because, and I say that with respect to that word in front of comedian. I like comedians, but when you're a black comedian, that means like the masses can like, you know, when they describe you like, oh yeah, he's the top black comic and da like, oh, such and such. Like if you're a comedian that's a black dude, like your whole set is just like, yeah, black guys be like, man, what's up? White guys be like, hi, Charles. Man, like that's corny to me. Like those jokes, the white black jokes, and when you have to focus on or your comedy is based off stereotypes, whether you're a white person making fun of white people, whether you're a black person making fun of black people, whatever it is, that's like a cop out for me. It's like, come on, man, like types 100%, right. You know, and the comedians that are really, really good, like you said, George Carlin, Chappelle, Chris Rock, like all these different ones, like, yeah, they have like white jokes, black jokes, all that or whatever, but that's not their entire set.
Exactly.
You know, the same way I feel about like corny white comedians, same way I feel about black ones, same way I feel about Hispanic ones. Carlos Mencia, no thank you. George Lopez, no thank you. Gabriel Iglesias, okay, yeah, he has a couple laughs, you know, and that's where they use that term. They're saying they're
pandering.
It's something like, oh, you're not a black comedian anymore. You're like a transitioning or transitional
crossover.
Yeah, crossover. There you go. You're a crossover. Like you can appeal to other different, you know, races and And I'm like, yeah, those are the comedians I like.
Exactly.
And on the topic of white ones, though, I'm with Don. Bill Burr is dope. I wouldn't say he's my favorite, at least not at the moment, but he's dope. Dane Cook, or not Dane Cook, no, Dane Cook's trash. But
He said, "No, slap myself. I didn't mean
so
to."
Yeah, I was gonna say
Tosh,
no.
I know Tosh, like people aren't like, but think he's funny. It's like his stand-up comedy is all right.
He's good, but sometimes he doesn't know where the line is.
Yeah, I don't think maybe he crossed the line, but then you could say the same thing about Dave Chappelle and like talk about trans people crossing the line. I don't think he's crossing the line either on that. Like, I'm one of those people like outside of you, like outright. No, even what's Dave Chappelle's the white dude Neil Brennan or whatever, right?
Oh yeah, Neil Brennan.
Stand-up comedy, and like I would consider this crossing the line. He made it work. He straight up legit said nigga, and I don't think he said nigga, he said nigger, like actually in his comedy show. And you know, like he had it obviously with the bit that he was doing and so on and so forth. And it made sense, and I didn't take offense to it. And I'm like, all right, cool, you know, like, but normally like a white person saying that is crossing the line, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So the skill that you have in your craft allows you that leeway in being able to cross the line and getting away with it. Not saying it's right, but you could probably get away with it. And you know, there's some artists that do that good, and that's why I was saying Dale Tosh, he'd be up there for me. Bill Burr, and then this one dude that you know, underground dude. I've only seen like clips of him on YouTube and stuff like that. But this dude named Mark Normand. Mark Normand, he's just like
I've heard, yeah.
For dude, but like he just, I don't know, it works for him. You know what I mean? And again, all these characters that I like are dudes that are not trying to be something. They're not like trying to fixate on like, oh yeah, like I'm because I make fun of this person, or I'm
Yeah.
I focus on this area and this area and that area. Like, you know, for all the, you know, white comedians we're gonna trash or whatever, I'll talk about trashy ASS black ones or whatever. Like, I know people like him, but I never liked DL Hughley. I think DL Hughley, all he do, like when you look at his interviews and when he talks and speaks, that's cool, but his comedy is trash because all he does is just look at the crowd and I'm gonna talk about this person and like crack jokes. Like, nah, man, like you gotta be like multi-dimensional or whatever, I think.
Yeah, and that's what I feel you. That's what I was saying about with Gary. It's like he never evolved past what he did. He never did a new stitch. It's like certain comedians that don't evolve, like you said, like, you know, Dave Chappelle back in the day, he was talking about, you know, black, he was just doing this, but he evolved, you know. DL didn't evolve too much. He started doing more politics and stuff than just crowd-based stuff. Like, you know, Eddie Griffin, like he evolved. Like certain comedians, like Chris Rock, like you're saying, they all evolved past just saying the typical stereotype jokes.
Black,
and
white
that's what
jokes.
made them dope. That's what
Kevin
made them
Hart and his little man jokes. Like, we get it. You're small, dude. Like, come up with something better. I'm not a Kevin Hart fan, you know. Like, I mean, I'll movie with him and stuff like that, but I'm not trying to see him stand up.
I agree.
Yeah, 100%.
So I think that can you hear me?
Yeah.
I think there's definitely some truth to all what you guys are saying. There's a lot of people. I think it's the discovery factor, right? It's a lot of people are discovering these people on YouTube or on some quick little TikTok challenge thing or whatever. But I think like back in the day, we did have, you know, Def Jam, and you would find out like, oh, there's Honest John, or oh, there's like these people that would come up out of nowhere. And then you had Comic View, right? When Comic View had, you know, predominantly black circles, and they would invite white comedians in that had differing styles. But then you even had like Comedy Central Presents, because Comedy Central Presents would do like 3 or 4 different comedians in that half hour, and some of them would have a quick 10 minutes, and that's as good as we get, you know, because everything's synthesized to like the best parts. You ain't rambling on nonsense that doesn't make sense. So sometimes those were like dope just to watch those and just check out people that were good, or just be like, nope, and not come back after commercial. And then they had Last Comic Standing, and Last Comic Standing, whatever, they had some dope ones, but they also had some ones that were garbage and they needed to go voted off quicker, and some of that was political and all that stuff. But I think some of those things need to come back, as far as like having something official that people can tune into, where there's some type of a curation. Because right
Like
now
a
the only
showcase show would
curation,
be cool, like you said, like a Def Jam or a Comic View.
yeah,
The whole contest ones. I'm so sick of like contest TV shows and stuff, because I really don't like judges critique people on this and that nature based off of what they feel as a judge.
Yeah.
So I never really watched like the Last Comic Standing. I'd be able to see clips, like you said, through YouTube and stuff like that. But that reminds me of another dude, big fat ass white dude named Ralphie.
Ralphie May.
Oh, Ralph
Ralphie
Macchio.
May
Yeah.
was cool. Rest in peace, but so yeah, you these little people or you find these people you wouldn't normally catch like through different little clips and highlights and this and that, and sometimes it's like, oh dang, like that dude had a good like 10-minute set. Let me go look up him and pick him up, and it's like, dang, that was his best 10-minute set. There ain't nothing else.
Well, that's okay. That's okay. Sometimes people
And
only
other
put out
times
one
you
good
find
album.
They have like a whole collection that are good, so
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, that's the same. Like, I wish they would do that without the, like you said, I'm tired of the contest stuff. So I'm sorry of the judges and like kicking people off and like this. Like, dude, just bring the old school back. Like, everybody come in, do something funny, like dip. Like, what Snoop did not too long ago, he did a little thing on Netflix where he had some comedians on there, made a show. But I was like, let's do that like every week or every whatever, not just like a one-off.
Shaq used to do the All-Star Comedy Jam weekends.
Yeah.
And he don't do that no more. Nowadays, you see him like in America's Got Talent. They're like, oh, we're having a magician. We're gonna have a comedian. And it's like, but you know what type of comedy they're gonna do if they made it to that level. It's gonna be Mickey Mouse and all these little like things that are very family friendly that is not going to cross any barriers. It's not going to make political in any sense. That's going to be knock jokes. And that can get a little hee hee ha ha, but it's not going to be a real belly laugh. It's not going to be making me go buy tickets to see you live. And so I don't know what that would do, but I think in general, like Brian's saying, comedy is comedy, but there is a difference between when you see a Black comedian and when you see a white comedian. And I think there's a lot of white comedy that they try to be edgy and almost like edgy against maybe women and like, we're always persecuted as like this and that, but I don't give a fuck. And they do that I don't give a F mode, whatever, right? And sometimes that works, and sometimes it comes off as too douchebaggish, like too brash and too like it's not funny.
But this is where it goes back to what I said, though. I feel like that could be said for any race and genre. Like, I mean, you talk about these white guys in comedy stand up trying to be edgy and da. Queens of comedy, the real, I mean, like, not necessarily Black women comedians, but even like women comedians in general. Like, how many of them are going to be like, okay, I'm going to be Amy Schumer and I'm just going to talk about my vagina? And like, I remember South Park talking about like women trying to be funny. They always talk about their vagina or whatever, right? Amy Schumer, Whitney Cummings,
yeah,
like, I mean,
Nikki Glazer, all them, yeah.
Yeah, and so it's like, all right, like, to be edgy and be like, I'm all sexual and da or whatever, like. So I mean, that's the same thing as like white.
So,
trying to be
do you separate like?
You say da.
Do you separate it like music though? Like, I'm not a fan of their work, but I'm a fan of this album. I'm a fan of this Michelle Wolf special, but I'm not a fan of Michelle Wolf. Or this one was actually dope from Ralphie May, but maybe him in general is not just going to be somebody I would hang out with and he would make me laugh every single day. Or versus like Patrice O'Neal, every time he puts his mic to his mouth to a microphone.
Come on, man! Come on! You talk about one of the greatest like comedians.
I know, but I'm saying like, could you be a fan of the person, or is it like no?
Okay. Patrice O'Neal, okay. You'd hang out with him. Would you hang out with George Carlin?
Maybe, I don't know. His is more conversational. He's a dope comedian, probably my top two, if not a white comedian. But like,
yeah, what I'm saying is like, all right, then. Who's a trash dude? Oh man.
What about Aziz? What is he considered?
Aziz Ansari, like. Again, like I'm with like Quincy was saying before, where it's like, yeah, like he just didn't evolve. Like he had like a good show or two shows, and it's just like I'm gonna have my same kind of bit, like. Right.
Okay, so Harold, that Aziz is a good example for what you're saying, because I understand what your question is. Like, if they continue to put out trash stuff, are you still a fan of them, or is it just like at this point, no? So Aziz is a good example because obviously his first stand-up show was like roll over the floor laugh to me. Like, it was funny as hell. But to me, after that, every single special he put out, I didn't enjoy at all. So now I don't consider myself a fan of his stand-up. I don't, because it was a one and done. You know what I mean?
So yeah. So Harold, are you gonna hang out with Cat Williams? Because that Aziz is
He's
Cat
very
Williams
hit
to
or
me.
miss. I would say I'm not a fan of Cat Williams, but he's had like 2 or 3. But I mean,
see, now that's different to me, because Cat, I'm a fan of, because we know Cat can be naturally funny. We've seen it in the interviews. We saw him on Wildin' Out. Cat can be naturally funny, but he has put out some actual like hot garbage. But I still consider myself like, if someone says, "Hey, do you like Cat Williams?" I'm like, "Yeah, Cat Williams is cool."
benefit of the
I'd
doubt.
hang out with Pete Davidson before I'd hang out with
Oh no!
Wild Out too. So hey,
I'm not mad at that.
just me, you know. Like I mean,
I'm not. So wait, maybe I'm missing that part. So why wouldn't you hang out with Cat Williams?
because again, Cat Williams, in my personal opinion, is that he tries to be funny. Similar to Kevin Hart, where it's like, yeah, he can. In conversation, he could say something, bam, you know, I'm laughing and whatnot. But I think he's thinking consistently in his head, like, I gotta say, I gotta, you know, get them, like, let me get this new phrase, like, nigga, what? And just saying whatever he can say to get like a laugh out of it. Whereas
You know
it's not
what?
just casual.
I think that was true maybe like a decade ago. I do think the whole like, I'm Money Mike, I'm Pimp, my hair long persona, I do agree with that. Now though, I don't think he is like that. Like his previous stand-up he just did on Netflix, to me, was like, he was elevated in my opinion. Like he didn't.
Is that like the patriotic one or some shit like that or whatever?
Yeah.
The election year?
He wasn't on that like, he wasn't on that like, you know, look at my hair, bitch, and look at my hair, this and that, and I'm this, and he was on another level. I'm not saying like top tier, but he just did something different. So I think I still could say Cat is actually funny. Like he doesn't do that stuff he was doing a decade ago. But I get your point. I do get your point. Now, your Pete Davidson joint though, I feel like Pete Davidson in some degree, he tries to do that whole like, oh, I'm a sad boy. Like, I think that's a front.
That's why I use the comparison, because they're both essentially the same, you know? So if you're going to hang out with Cat Williams, I'll hang out with Pete Davidson, you know? Like,
I think, but so
I just always want to.
in comedy, I think everybody has to have like something like that. You know what I mean? I don't think you're allowed to just be outside of like a Chappelle or something else, like kind of just be yourself. I think everybody has to have some type of like
Brand.
brand or some type of niche. Or like
South
they
Point.
feel like they not necessarily always have to be on, but you gotta have something. You know what I mean? And I'm not necessarily mad at that. Now, if it's corny, that's why I say Gary Owens, he's corny. Kevin Hart, I've been saying it. I think he's corny. I don't like any of outside of Laugh at My Pain and there's maybe one more special of his I like. All his other specials are garbage to me. I don't like Kevin Hart like that.
100% agreed on that one.
You know what I'm saying? But that's why I like Chris Rock, because I think Chris Rock is like, he kind of has that thing, but it's authentic to me for some reason. Like, I don't think like Chris is ever trying to be like somebody or be something or be included. Like, he can get down with us, but then he can like go rub elbows with all the whites, you know what I mean? And he's still Chris. I think that's why I like him so much. Same with Eddie. Like Eddie, like never needed to be something. He was just Eddie, you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's funny. Yeah, agreed. And that's what I was talking about yesterday to my friend. It was like with Eddie, I was like, we were talking about the movies and stuff, talking about like Boomerang and Coming to America. I was like, you don't see that type of stuff anymore. You don't see that type of comedy. You don't see that, like, especially with like black films. We're saying like even though like Boomerang, the whole cast, black cast, it didn't feel like a black movie. You look at it, you like, it was just a good, dope freaking flick. But you see these black movies now, they make sure you know it's a freaking black movie. You know it's this ghetto ass Tyler Perry, the stereotypical movies, and you don't see a genuine dope flick like that anymore.
One of the things I will say that they try to do though too, and this even happened, like you said, with like a Madea movie, like Madea goes to jail, right? And they have Eugene Levy as like the kind of like contrast to all the blackness that's in the movie. And a lot of comedians will have the kind of opener be some white guy that's basically anything but them, so that it doesn't seem like you hear the same style of jokes or the same type of delivery. But sometimes the comedian ends up molding their style to be like the headliner. And you're like, oh man, like you're supposed to be something different. And now you're trying to mimic me because that's what gets the laughs. But do your thing, stick, give them something that they could kind of chew on, and then let me just kill it. And
but think of that though. That's like putting in like that's like putting One Direction in like right before you put in NWA or something. Like it's like, no, the people come to that comedy show, they want this type of comedy, this black comedy. So to have like a white guy that's completely helter skelter randomly, like, side note. Also, another white guy, Mitch Hedberg. He died, but he is funny to me.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he was good. His little one-liners, those one-liners were funny. Yes.
And that was one where it's like, yeah, like I don't know, maybe he would have progressed and got better or whatever, but more than likely, if he is still alive, he'd probably be doing the same one-liners, and after a while, it get played out. So I get what you're talking about there, Don. But yeah, no, like as far as like like comedians having like their opener be different from them or whatever, I don't think they want it to be too far different, because it definitely would throw off the audience. Like, if you have a Gary Owen come in and then you have after him, like another black dude, Kevin Hart, whoever else, okay, yeah, that makes sense. But, I don't want, what's those, the redneck dudes, the redneck comedy tour people. I don't want one of them motherfuckers coming on, and then right after that, I'm like going to
like
see
Larry the Cable Guy or something.
Yeah, Larry the Cable Guy, Ron,
Jeff Foxworthy,
Ron, whatever his name is, and then that other motherfucker, the white dude that does the puppets, that dude as well. Like that, again, it's like a little it's a default thing and it's corny. So yeah, like I don't like
Jeff Dunham.
Yeah, Jeff Dunham.
I actually like him. He was funny, especially his like first couple. It was funny, just because it was.
But he's got the same puppets now and the same jokes. 15 years.
Like I said, that's what I said. The first couple, when you first seen him, I was like, oh, that dude's funny, because you don't see ventriloquists and actually say something funny and stuff. So it was different. But yeah, you don't want to see him before you see, like an Eddie Griffin or somebody else like that. But if you're just going to see him, or you just see one of his specials, like, okay, yeah, this is funny, but it definitely doesn't mesh well. But at the same time, you don't want it too far off, but you want a different style. You're like, hey, this bag of candy, like, hey, I like different flavors. I don't want the same dang flavor. I don't want all cherries. I want, I want a strawberry too. I want something else.
Yeah,
that's funny. I don't know. I look at it like you could have a Mac McClung before you have a Vince Carter. And you can see dunks that are from both sides. Just one got a different style. One's got finesse and one's got power. Like,
yeah.
So I gotta jump in there, like, with the reference in the dunk contest. And I actually reached out to Harold yesterday night because I'm like,
did you see it?
Whatever.
I watched a little bit of it.
So and here's the thing with the dunk contest, whatever, right? Like,
it's back.
It was back to the 90s being dope, because way back in the 90s when they had the All-Star. And maybe it's because obviously you were younger and stuff like that, so you find more appeal to it or whatever. But in the 90s, I remember like they had the dunk contest had like 6 to 8 people, like, and some of the
8 to 12.
There should have been a limit, but like limiting it just to 4 people, as it's been like these past couple of years, like last decade, basically, it's disappointing because, well, and then also you have your social media where you can see all the other dunks that people do outside of the NBA, but there's not as much creativity. And so just having the 4 people that you have listed and them not being like actual all-stars, that just makes it worse. Yet every single time, every single year, they always have the TNT commentators and whatnot, like
hype man, Duke Tango,
whoever else and whatnot. And they all say the same bullshit, like, the dunk contest is back. The dunk contest is back, blah, blah, whatever, right? If you flash back like 2 or 3 years ago, they actually had a legit one, which was Aaron Gordon and Zach LaVine.
That's the last best one.
Fire dunks. And it would have been back, but they fucked it up and they gave it to the wrong dude. Aaron Gordon got robbed, like,
yep.
Go on YouTube, look at like 2020 or 2019 dunk contest and see what I'm talking about. But the fact that if they made that statement, the dunk contest is back there, okay, that's legit. But you have this dude this year, last night, a dude that like is on maybe like a 10-day contract with the Sixers. Motherfucker was in the G League, like 2 or 3 inches taller than me, if that. So good for him. That's why. And he's a great white hype type dude or whatever. But on some mediocre dunks, like none of the dunks that entire dunk contest deserved a 50. Closest one was his first dunk where he jumped over 2 dudes with the ball, hit the backboard, and then did a reverse dunk. Okay, that's awesome. I've seen that before. I give it a 49. Maybe I'm like, one of those people that are that's a hater, I guess. But it was by no means big. And the fact that they're like, crying this dude, he got multiple 50s, and like it just really annoyed the fuck out of me. I'm like, man, come on, man. Like maybe I'm desensitized to like dunks where it doesn't look anything.
Seen too much.
Whatever, dude.
You got to be a 12-year-old that's like, wow.
The 12-year-old has YouTube, so he's gonna see like I can't remember the dude's name, but he's gonna see like this black dude. Everybody hates Chris. He's always up on YouTube or always on Instagram, whatever, with different dunks. Like there's another dude, I forget his name, but he's like a science teacher in high school, but he does all these dunk contests and stuff. And he has one. He hasn't done it yet, like officially done it, but he goes between both legs, like goes between one, goes between the other, and dunks it. He's done it on 9-foot rim. He hasn't done it officially on 10-foot rim yet, to my knowledge. And one, the air up there. Remember when the dude did like the
720
20 or whatever, like so not a 360 like Mac McClung did, and just brought it down below his knees or something like that. And all of a sudden it's like, all right, yeah, I'm getting 50 off of that. No, like actual innovative dunks. These 12-year-olds can see those right now every freaking day just going on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
Part of the reason why the dunk contest is not back. But
you just contradicted yourself, right? Do you want to have James White, who plays internationally overseas, be in the dunk contest that could jump from the free throw line? Or do you want to have somebody that's legitimately playing for the terrible Wizards or the Utah Jazz come in there and put his best foot forward because he's an official NBA player? Do you want to see great dunks and do you want to be enamored? Or do you want somebody that is playing it safe because they're being paid $20 million not to get hurt?
I want the NBA dunk contest. I do not want these random motherfuckers like, go get Joe Schmo that's off the street. Wow, you can dunk good, motherfucker. Actually play basketball good and you could get a bag. Not like, nah.
It is the NBA All-Star weekend. We need NBA All-Star talent.
Exactly.
I agree.
Like when they have like the skills, not the skills challenge, but when they had that like little 3-on-3 setup thing or whatever, and they had like, oh, we're gonna have like an NBA player, we're gonna have a rookie, and we're gonna have a WNBA player. Like, nah, WNBA has their All-Star game. We don't need them involved. exclusive, but that's nothing that's appealing to me because, like Don just said, NBA All-Star game
and
players, and you can try to fix the dunk contest. It's never going to be what it was in the past, but adding on like random dudes or international dudes and stuff like that isn't the way to go. First, says you need more people in it. Don't have 4 people, and then raise the bag. Be like, all right, yeah, you win this dunk contest, you get like 2 million, 3 million, 5 million. I don't know, something like that. I think John Morant said he'd do it if they had it up at $1 million. He is a superstar, so that's what I'm saying.
No, and see, that's always been my beef with the most recent NBA All-Star like jams and all that. Like, we want the All-Stars that we know can dunk and do it in every game to do it. Like, I want to see like 5 people, cool. I want to see LeBron go against Zion, go against Ja, go against Giannis, go against like, whoever else. Like, I want the actual All-Stars of the NBA that dunk like crazy all the time. I don't want to see your second and third bench or whoever. I don't want to see this Mac cat. Shout out to Mac. He showed up, I guess, for this goal, whatever. But
better than all the other dudes, yeah.
Like,
he won a contract off of that.
That's what I'm saying. But it's like, yo, we know what Ja can do. Ja posterizes every person every game. And you're talking about like, oh, well, I don't want to get hurt. I don't want, fam, you do it every game. So just come do 4 quick dunks like you do in practice. LeBron done it. Like LeBron, we know what you can do. Giannis, we know what you can do. Get out there.
I think you know why though. Underlying, you know that they'll get exposed. That some of them have hops but no real creativity. So unless you want to see them just jump high and dunk, you got to be able to do something else with it. You got to actually do something else with your elbows, with twisting, with using props.
But you know what though?
Do you hold it against them? Like hold it against like Amari Stoudemire that he like lost the dunk contest, or I think Kenyon Martin was in it at one point, or where I can't recall like people that lost the dunk contest. I recall the people that won.
But no, but people's like again, like Don still thinks that LeBron is a great dunker. But he does it super basic. Every time it's just a tomahawk. But you get that from Stromile Swift. You get that from
I don't
Amari
recall
Stoudemire.
Don saying he's a great dunker. And yeah, if he did say that, I'd have to say like, nah, not really. Like,
no, I just say I know
he can dunk, but he's hella athletic, so he should be able to do that.
I just say I know what they can do. But the thing is, like, no, it's not held against them because Michael Jordan's lost before. Like Jordan lost a contest, and he's hailed as the greatest. You know what I'm saying?
So Brady, like,
yeah, like we have those cats that like. We hail up here that they've lost before. I don't look at them different.
Exactly.
You didn't win it that year. Like Dominique Wilkins was that better that year. That just is what it is. You know what I mean? So like, I think our quote unquote actual all-stars can go do it. And I don't know if that's going to expose them. Like, bro, Ja is Ja. Like, I don't need him to do some 720 upside down, whatever. Like, if he just goes and just elevates and then puts it behind his back, he's going to get a 50. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not looking for crazy
Skywalkers.
Yeah, I'm not looking for crazy theatrics these days because, like, let's just be honest, it's not there. Like, it's been, you know what I mean? Like, I think, again, maybe going back to Aaron Gordon and Zach LaVine, that might be the last, like, innovative we've seen. But before them, there was such a huge gap. Before that, it was Vince Carter. That was the last time we really saw something innovative. It was
Jason Richardson.
They had, they had the ones that Dwight Howard won and the ones that Nate
Robinson.
But Nate Robinson, that he won. And like, they weren't anything special. Most of it was like, hey, let me bring out this gimmick and that gimmick and that gimmick, to like make it look cool. But, that's not the case. And so I'm fully 100 with what Don's saying. And since like, You need the stars there, and I think the way you're going to get the stars is, throwing some more money there. And something about like, maybe the fan base or whatever, maybe the commentator or something, someone's going to have to let them know, like, yo, we really don't care. Like, LeBron came into the league right before then. He won the dunk contest and the McDonald's, right? So why didn't he just do the dunk contest that next year? That was when he's hot. And he probably could have did some basic dunks and got 50s because he's freaking LeBron, but no, he didn't want to do that. Kept putting it off, saying, oh, I might do it. And so now, in this case, is it going negative against him? For me, absolutely. If he did the dunk contest and lost, I'd be like, oh, well, he did it. Like, it's not like his creative anyways. He always just does the same dunk, so no big deal.
Yeah, it was all in fun.
But the fact that he could have done it, and he kept on teasing with it, like, F you, dude. Nah, like, you're garbage. Like, I don't.
It sounds like.
I know I'm putting too much on that. He's not garbage, but you're like, nah, dude. Like,
no, but I feel what you're saying.
So it sounds like you're saying, because again, they have it at the end of the night. It's supposed to be the main event, like the reason we build up to the dunk contest. Are you saying that they should switch it? That it should now be like maybe the first or the second?
No,
competition.
If they want to build up to it, I'm cool with that because that's the one everyone looks forward to, like the 3-point shootout and the dunk contest. But you can't build up to it and then give us mediocre players. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, no, I want the main course. I want the filet mignon. And I'm saying like, ooh, I can't wait for this Wagyu joint. And you bring me out a burger. It's like, no, fam, like I've been waiting for the main course and this is who it is. Like, no disrespect to the other cats, but like, all right. They're like, oh yeah, we got Trey Murphy. Okay.
Who?
Yeah, it's like, I know. I'd rather be like, oh man, Jason Tatum, John Morant, Giannis, like, yo, this
But some people said who to Aaron Gordon, and then all of a sudden they took notice.
Aaron Gordon, who was like a top 5 draft pick in his
Yeah, but people don't follow ballers
because
life
the
in
motherfucker
high
played on
school.
Orlando. Didn't nobody know anyone on Orlando?
That's always what happens. Nobody's
Follow
following the
basketball.
Houston Rockets
If you
right now.
watch basketball, you knew who Aaron Gordon was. But again, Detroit.
Yeah, I have to say, like, the tiers are slightly different. Like, I knew who Aaron Gordon was, and we definitely knew who Zach LaVine was because he was dunking from 3-point the entire season. But like this one, like, yeah, like Trey Murphy the third, like, yeah, I know you're on the Pelicans, but you're not like I don't see you as like that dude that's just slamming down. Like,
besides him and Mac, who were the other two people? Go ahead, Harold. Go ahead.
You talking about the dude from the Knicks?
Yeah.
I don't think
not
he plays.
Not Obi Toppin, who won last year, another random dude, but the dude this year. You had him, and then you had a whole nother dude.
Yeah, no, I don't know.
Which, and again, this motherfucker, like, he
talking about Kenyon Martin Jr.
to do
like
the
that was
Carter
a
dunk where he dunked, had his arm in the rim, and then pull out a little note that says 50, like he's supposed to get a 50 off that. Like, this is a dunk like decades ago. Ain't nobody, like, what's so special about that, dude? Like,
nothing.
So then how could they change it?
Name.
How could so Quincy? You don't obviously care about watching the dunk contest, but what would make you tune in?
Like you were saying, like Don, everyone was saying, like the actual all-stars, like, you know, the actual top tier cats that, hey, LeBron, whatever, you know, the big names. But other than that, like I said, I watch the highlights here and there. Like I watch it on YouTube a week later or whatever.
Exactly.
But for the most part, yeah, I'm over it.
Is that because of the commercials and all that stuff? Everybody have to be sponsored by Foot Locker or Sprite or AT&T or
that's
got to have
too.
commercials. Got to have a hype man. You got to have a performance in the middle of it so you can bring out 21 Savage and whatnot. Like, is that the? I could.
You don't even want to. I got to be honest, man. If these NBA players these days kind of get on my nerves, and like, I'm gonna keep it a buck. Why? Because I love Ja Morant. I collect his cards. I'm a huge Ja Morant fan. But
the shoes look trash.
But to hear him say, like, nah, you're going to have to throw me some ends to do it. Brother, you are in the NBA. You already have a crazy contract. You just got a Nike contract with your own sneaker. If you don't pick up that ball and go dunk this joint and put on a show for your fans, like, that wasn't a thing back in the day with Mike and with Dominique.
Grant Hill even.
Bro, Sean Kemp, like, he didn't need to – you think he was asking for an extra bag? No, it's what he does. Like, it's a blessing to be where they're at. You're already hailed as like the top tier. You can't go out there for an hour and just, you know, put on a cool little show. Like, I feel like that should come with the territory. That's almost like part of your job. Like, but you should that's your job. Like, it's not.
That's it, and it's a generational thing because the same could be applied to like dudes, you know, jumping ship to go to other teams to play ball. Back in the day, it was like, yo, like I want to play and compete against the best.
Yeah,
I want to be with the best. So you can get that championship.
That's the AAU mentality.
Oh, I've been saying that.
So that's where I feel like, you know, because that's the time where we're at. I'm not saying it's right, but that's what's going to get the money. Like, again, if Ja Morant says, hey, I need like a couple M's to get in this, and you want him in that, you're going to have to give him a couple M's. Because, you know, like, you know, talk him into it, being like, yo, back in the day, you know what I mean? Like,
I don't knock the hustle. I tell everybody,
but
I don't knock your hustle. Get your bag. But I'm going to call you corny. I do think I said it. I think all the NBA players this generation is whacked in that regard. Like, I do. I think like jumping ship to go get a ring is, I've been saying that. I don't like that. I don't like how like they put on a show to try to like garner fouls. And I think they play pussy. And I do think the NBA today, it sucks. Like I still watch it because I'm a basketball head, but it's, you want to compare again 90s ball to today, like we were doing 90s earlier? I'll take 90s any day of the week. You know what I'm saying? I'll take Iverson. That
more authentic.
Super more authentic. Like they were playing. If you got fouled, they actually played. People went to the bucket. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't acting, and yeah.
That's the thing too. Like I think, you know, like because then actually you could play in the NBA and like make a nice half the amount of money, but it wasn't. You know, you had your Jordans that are making like money. Then you have like your BJ Armstrongs that are making, you know, money. Could afford. But now you have BJ Armstrongs, like I forget who the is, but like I I hate to use this person as an example, but remember Skip to My Lou, Ray Frost?
Yeah, Ray Frost.
Like,
Yeah,
so you got a dude that played street ball, like was able to he obviously is good enough, like college ball and stuff like that. Finally gets picked up on a team, and I forget exactly what it was. He lasted a couple years, needless to say.
Milwaukee and then Orlando. He was in the
He got
finals.
a contract. I think it was like when he was with Toronto. He got a contract, 3 years, 37 million or something like that. Like, so he's worth that much, and this is, mind you, like in the mid 2000s, if that. You know what I mean? So, not saying he's a scrub, but I mean, you got dudes coming off the bench and stuff like not starters that are making money like to. Obviously, everybody's making money to retire off of in the NBA, but I mean, just like crazy amounts of dollars, and it's like, how's this happening? Meanwhile, if you did have like more realistic like pay and stuff, let's say John Morant or whatever, right? If he wasn't getting like $100 million contract and stuff like that, but maybe it's getting half of that, yeah, maybe there would be more incentive to do the dunk contest or do this and this, because I know like they do have those incentives built in motherfuckers' contracts. Hey, you make the playoffs, you get more money. Hey,
First team all.
money. Hey, you win the dunk contest, you get more money. Like if they had things like that and it is comparable to what their normal already salary is, then we'd probably be seeing better basketball.
yeah. No, I feel it. That makes sense. I just overall the dunk contest was whack yet again. Shout out to White Mac Attack, whatever they call him now. Shout out to him. Like it was cool. Like I'm not saying what he did was trash. Like it was cool. Like I didn't like jump out of my seat like they used to do. You know what I'm saying? Shaq holding the camera.
Events, yeah, like that.
But I was just like, oh damn, that was dope. You know what I'm saying? A little 360 or 420, whatever he did.
Just lower the bar. Just lower the bar.
Yeah, no, it was cool. You know what I'm saying? But that's just kind of what it is now. It's like if it's on, I'll turn to it. Oh, it was dope, and then keep it pushing. That's it.
That's crazy. Well, all right. Well, let's wrap this one up. Definitely good.
I'm kind of disappointed that there's not really like much music talk right now. But I don't know about y'all, but nothing's really dropped like new in
nothing 2023.
This is a slow start. Like I'm still on SZA's album and Ab-Soul. Like that's probably been in my most rotation the past month or so. Sprinkled with a little bit of King's Disease 3. That's literally been like what I listen to the most because the first part of the year has been whack so far.
Yep.
So I started listening to Kendrick again, mainly because whole Grammys and stuff, which is well deserved that he won it. So glad that happened.
Absolutely.
But I was listening to it again, and then like the Auntie Diaries or whatever, right? So like going back to that song, and like what I did was I this is where like a quick side note, I really just am starting to like further and further more and more and more not like people in social media and stuff like that. I'm going on, they have like the Genius with the rap lyrics and everything of that nature. But then they also have on, you go to YouTube, watch something like you can watch the music video, but you can watch somebody reacting to it or, reviews.
I hate that.
And, like sometimes you go down that rabbit hole and I ended up clicking.
Never.
And I was like, dang, he has that track, Can't Please Everybody. Can't Please Everybody. That's so 100. Because I'm watching Auntie Diaries, like the little lyric video, and just vibing to it or whatever. Up comes like somebody reacting to it who happens to be like a transgender person or whatever, right? And they're just like, oh yeah, it's a good idea, but he did poorly with it, and he's dead naming and this and this. And I'm like, what? Yo, like, can you not just accept it for being positive? I'm not, and no one said this is supposed to be like the headline thing for trans rights, and no, he's just letting you know his experience and what he learned, But that, and then like that, from that it went on to me looking at the J. Cole Snow on the Bluff, which was supposedly the No Name diss thing, and everybody coming at his head for that, and it's like so much times I'm listening to things, I'm like, why can't you just get the message and not just always gotta hate or get angry at this or like critique it because it's not the way you wanted it.
Mm-hmm.
And again, just listening to or starting off listening to Kendrick, and then from Kendrick transitioning to J. Cole, then it just continued to go down this hole where I was just listening to more and more and more older music.
Mm-hmm.
quality music, you know. So I mean, like, so that's what 2023 has been for me. Nothing like new album wise. I think there's one from Coda the Friend, but nothing like that I jumped off on.
Yeah. I'm just saying, I've been listening to some old school stuff. Like, shoot, I was last night, or actually, yeah, yesterday, I was listening to Eve's first album. That I was listening to, Eve. I was like, literally, dude, I was listening to her
Who's
first
that
album
girl?
yesterday.
Is that Scorpion or is that the second one?
Nah, Scorpion's the second one. It was the wait,
Was it self-titled?
It was not. It was the First Lady.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was the First Lady.
Jesus.
Yeah.
You want to talk about going down a rabbit hole? That brother was deep.
Right. Then I was listening to some Fabulous mixtape, the Soul Mixtape 2, and then I was listening to the Rough Rider Volume 2 or Volume 3 or whatever. So yeah, I was just going down some old school stuff yesterday, and it was feeling good though. Just like, oh, dude, I forgot how good stuff was compared to right. Yeah. But other than that, yeah, man.
What's in your playlist, Harold?
Honestly, I'm trying different stuff. So recently I've been getting into this Rock Marciano. I don't know if you ever listened to him before.
Yeah, I know. I like rock.
I heard the name.
But he's got some interesting stuff. And he randomly just flips words. He does a lot of tracks with like Alchemist and kind of in that vein of what you would call modern day Griselda, but just his wordplay is a little better. But yeah, this one of the ones I recommend the most is probably Murcielago. Kind of like
I like that one. I've heard project. I like that one actually.
And it has some heat on it. But yeah, that's right now. Other than that, I've been listening to stuff with the kids. So
right.
It's all their style music, which to them they actually listen to a lot of Drake, which is surprising.
Of course.
Drizzy.
And I sprinkle a little Lupe, so they kick push coast while I'm driving.
Yeah. And then it's funny
because
it's funny too because I'm like, I don't even know who I'm like anticipating. Like I try to think about it. I'm like, I don't have anticipation for anybody right now. Like
so there's this one, and they came out with the EP. Sci-Hi did his EGOT thing. Do you care about the album anymore?
No, I gotta be honest. No, you know why? And I've said this before about other artists, like when we were talking about like Talib or whatever.
Big Sean.
Getting to do Twitter fingers and all that stuff in the IG posts, you become kind of like whack to me. And he started doing a lot of that. He started like going at Joe Budden and going at this person and going at that person. And I'm like, bro, I've never seen you do that before. Like you usually just put out music and I'm a huge fan. Same with Freddie Gibbs. That's why it took me a minute to get to the Gibbs album. Cause like, bro, Gibbs is that dude. But then you started getting corny as hell on IG. And I'm like,
social media.
To say. You know what I'm saying? So now, like, I see Sci-Hi starting to do that shit. I'm like, that's you too, bro. Like, come on, man. Like, don't get corny on me because I love your music. But you get corny on me, I listen to your music different. So at this second, I don't know if I'm anticipating an album from anybody. Like, I got my Kendrick album. I got my Nas fix. I got my SZA fix. Hov put out a 5-minute verse, last month. I'm like, I genuinely don't have like a need for somebody. Like, I don't know.
So I mentioned, do you care about Big Sean? Because I thought his last album was garbage.
No, I don't. Bro, Big Sean to me is, I'm smooth on that. Like Wiz, I'm smooth on that. Ross, you know me, I love Ross. If he put an album out, I'll listen to it, but am I anticipating? No. Spitta, I know Spitta's gonna put something out, so I'm chilling. Like, there's really nobody now where I'm like, yo, I can't wait until da-da-da. It's not.
What about like a Childish Gambino or something?
I like Childish. If he puts something out, I obviously, I'm not anticipating it, but I love Gambino. So we'll see. But that's my point though. Last year or the year before, we were like, ooh, I can't wait until, Kendrick's new album. Oh man, like Cole's about to, who are we waiting for? Like, think about it.
Yeah, I feel you on that one.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Are you anticipating somebody? Am I off, Harold?
No, I was just trying to think. That was the one that was like, because some people will put out teasers and they'll like come out with some loosies and they're working on something but they're just not ready for. They're trying to get the timing right. Mm-hmm. And that was the one I was like, man, the Sci-Hi one is supposed to be coming, but I don't even know if I care anymore. And so I started listening to some of his old stuff, and his old stuff is still legit.
Yeah.
But yeah, just I don't know, his sound kind of changed, and maybe I'm just not in the mood for it right now.
What I would say then in that note would be like Fabulous, because Fab, not that I'm anticipating something, but like if I heard rumblings that he was coming up with something, I get hyped for that, because the only one we had was when Harold had that collection they, compiled a little bit ago.
Yeah.
That still is in my rotation. I'll be listening to it every day, but every once in a while, like, on random shuffle, one of his songs, I'm like, oh man, yeah, like, dang, he needs to have a whole project, like,
Yeah.
But
And
yeah,
I feel you. That's
so
why I
if I
went
knew
down there.
something's coming up, I'd be looking forward to that.
Right. And that's why I went down that rabbit hole. Like I was saying, I was listening to that Soul Mixtape yesterday, Soul Mixtape 2. I was like, I may play that Soul Mixtape 3 today now. Yeah, same with Jada. If like Jada dropped something, that would be dope, because Jada always drops gems. But yeah, I'm not anticipating anything. It'd be cool if I hear something like that, but I don't foresee it. But yeah.
Do you think anything will come from that tour that they're doing between Cameron, Mace?
Nah, see, that's a nostalgic feel, and it'll be cool. But like, bro, if Mace drops an album, I'm gonna be like, and even, bro, I love Cameron.
Mace.
You know how I feel about Cameron. Like, I Killer Cam, that whole album. Cam. But if Cam put something out last year, or like a little project or something, I think, and it was like, all right, it's Cam, it's cool.
But I think what really matters, and maybe this is what I'm moving towards, is who puts out the album. So it ain't like he put out an album with Hit Boy. It ain't like he put out an album out with, A-Rab. Some people are choosing producers, and you're like, it's all right. But like,
so is that the new thing now? Like, am I anticipating collab albums now? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
you're anticipating the next Madlib, the next Alchemist, the next.
Like, I think right now, like, Nas did it the best. If everyone's doing like, I'm only collabing with this one producer, not King's Disease hit it out the park. Like, I know, what's his name? Jim Jones and Harry Fraud, like, something going, and that's quality. It's great. You know what I mean? But no, who's gonna touch a Hit Boy and Nas collab? Like, nobody.
But that's like, again, with the Gibbs, whatever, right? Like, I didn't like his last album as much, but I think his collaborations with like Alchemist, with, Madlib, whatever, just work better. It sounds like more of a cohesive sound. And I will say, like, even with Currency, right? Some people like his projects, and some people just wait for the one with Harry Fraud, or wait for the one with Alchemist, or wait for the one with Ski Beats, or wait for, you know what I mean?
You know what? I will say, let me take this back. I will say, only because I've been seeing a bunch of little like teasers, the Spitta album that he's gonna drop with JD, I think that one is gonna be fire. That, if I have to find something to anticipate, because they keep dropping these little, like, they're in the studio and they're this and they're that. So the fact that he's doing this whole album produced by JD, that one I'm looking forward to. So I think that's the only project I can think off the top. Ooh, let me see what's up. But aside from that, but even in that though, like, is that the new thing now? Like, I don't want to listen to an album unless it's like produced solely by a quality producer. You know what I'm saying? Like,
which is cool, but also bad. Like, I mean, I like variety, so it is cool. Yes, if you give me a list of Currency track or albums and whatnot, yeah, I'm probably gonna side with like all these ones that are Ski Beats or whatever else, and I'll put those ones on top of Harry Fraud ones, to where it's like, oh, okay, so mainly what you're saying is like you like Currency and Ski Beats. Yeah, but that doesn't mean like there's not gems on the Harry Frauds and whatnot. And so I would rather, at least I don't want to entirely want to go like, hey, like producer and rapper, everything's just this set with them, have a couple of those, but then also have a mixture as well, where it's like, all right, yeah, I have a 15-track album and 3 tracks are produced by this person produced these ones, and then these 3 tracks are from random motherfuckers you do not even know, and they're not track. Like, I like that variety, because I think that's how you're able to find out, oh, hey, I like this new guy, or this producer's dope.
It has to, yeah. I think it does matter, because like if a Dom Kennedy album comes out, it matters who's produced by. If it's all Hit Boy, I'm gonna be super excited. If it's not, I'm like, okay, hopefully it's got some good parts on it. If they come out with a Sugar Free album, I'll be like, okay, But if it was DJ Quick and Sugar Free, all right, and now or Battle Cat, something from the back in the day West Coast sound. If they come out, supposedly they're gonna come out with another Mount Westmore album. All right, that could be dope.
Because that first one was disappointing.
I was gonna say,
you have the beats, right? So is it gonna be beats that sound like E40's album? Beats that sound like Snoop's album?
That's why you have to have a combination. So
gotta have
like, all right, 3 of these songs are like.
No, they had a combination, and I thought it was like some were hitting, some sounded just like random.
There's like maybe one track that sounded like an E40 like beat or whatever, and that was I can't remember now, but like a lot of it sounded like it was like Too Short related stuff and like Ice Cube related stuff to me. Like, no, there's a couple Snoop tracks, but either way, it just seemed like the entire album was like West Coast. You could tell it was West Coast, but it I don't know. Like, also leading up to the album, they had the track "Bad MFers" or what, right?
Yeah.
That wasn't even on the album. That was like one of the good tracks I heard. So I don't know. Like, they just the way it like came out wasn't good to me. So that's why I'm like, yeah, they need a new one to like another one, I should say, to make up for it.
Yeah, so we need 2023 to get popping, because right now it's slow as hell, and I don't see it. It's funny, like we're only 2 months in, and already I think this is going to be a bad music year compared to last year. I gotta be honest.
Yeah, last year by now we had Corday, we had Code Friend, we had a couple of smaller projects. Saba was out by then, which stayed on my list. But it was also a slow start. We had 2 Chainz, but his album wasn't good.
But also, I think like you knew that things were coming out that year, like
Pusha T.
Whereas right now, as you mentioned, like we didn't know, like who knows what's coming up next that we were actually anticipating. So I agree with Don. I think like with everything great that came out last year, trying to top last year with this is unlikely. And so maybe we'll have like 1 or 2 albums where it's like, oh man, like this is great, but it's just gonna come out of the blue. Like we're like, oh, I totally forgot about that person, or so on and so forth. But I doubt as well that it will be anything compared to 2022.
X.
I kind of like it just because sometimes, like I was anticipating that Gibbs album, but it was like, oh, it's supposed to come out in March. Actually, it's been pushed back to June. Okay, dope. No, actually, it's September. So like you waiting so long to just finally hear something, and then the anticipation is never going to be met by whatever ends up being delivered. So I don't like when things, well, we had to clear samples and that took an extra couple months, or this came out alongside another album, so it got overshadowed because DJ Khaled put out his track and his album, so let's now clear the space. Like all that kind of maneuvering, I'd rather just know when you want to know. Give me a month window and then bam, release it.
Yeah, I feel it. No, I gotta get going though, cats. Gotta get ready for this little live we about to put on. You feel me?
Yep, that's dope.
Yeah, do your thing, man.
Do your thing.
All right.
Always good to hear from y'all.